Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and today I am sitting in Jita. This is the premier trade hub in the game of EVE Online. Here there is more money changing hands, more trade than any other place in the entire galaxy. And so that is why I have come here to teach you guys how the trading system works and how you can exploit it for profit in EVE Online. The thing about trading is that unlike any of the other making or money-making schemes in the game, and there are many, it is the one that is the least restricted by your ability to spend time playing the game. You can put in, there's a limit with other things as to how much money you can make per hour. There is a lot lower limits. Your limits are far more expansive, let's say. A lot lower is the wrong way to say things. Now, you might be aware that you can look in your inventory and find items to buy and sell. So for example, if I have some antimatter ammunition here and I go to sell this item, I right click and it shows me a little sell order, and it's taking a little long because right now there are over 2,100 people in Jita. It is a Sunday afternoon and there's a lot going on here. So you can see that when this happens, the order comes up and it says sell antimatter charge, it gives you the location, this is the price I would get for it, and it tells me that this is 7% below the regional average. It tells me the quantity that would be sold, and then the sales tax that would be charged on top of it, and then the green tells me how much money I would make by selling that. However, there's a reason not to do this, and I'll explain what's going on here. If I right click on if I click on the magnifying glass, it gives me the detailed market view. And what you can see here is a list of sellers versus buyers, right? So what you're seeing here is that people are selling these for 27.98 and some people are buying them for 27.25. But it also shows me there's somebody in another station in the system which will actually pay 29 ISK per unit. So I could make myself a little more by flying to that station. But that's not the whole story. You see, every single order here has been placed by another player. When you right click and sell, a lot of people are under the illusion that when they're right clicking and selling, they're selling to some NPC. And when they're buying, similarly, they're buying from NPCs. No, every single order here is placed by a person, and the way you can tell it's placed by a person is it has an expiration date which is less than a year. Now, an example of something that is placed by the NPCs, if I look for hydrogen batteries, let's see if we can do that. Well, that's interesting. Trade goods are, hydrogen batteries now appears in 2 places. How interesting. Well, hydrogen batteries are NPC items, and you can see that there are sellers that have orders of 364 days. That is a player. That is not a player. That is an NPC which is selling those. You won't see any NPC buy orders here because the NPCs aren't buying them. You mainly acquire these as part of manufacturing research. There are other items I can think of. I'm just trying to think of. It has eluded my mind right now. If you look at trade goods, let's look at trade goods in general. Down the bottom. Passengers, political paraphernalia. These are not the ones. Consumer products. Frozen food. Maybe that is an example of a trade good. Yes, so frozen food is a trade good which is both bought and sold by NPCs. And this is actually a basic way to make money. You can see that in this station, there's someone buying it at a 116, but there are other stations such as Mila where you can buy a few thousand units of this, transport it to this station, and then sell it at a profit. And there's a bunch of things that are seeded like this using NPCs. The only problem is these orders tend to get refreshed at downtime, so the only people that really can take advantage of them are the first people in every day. As these orders get used up, they get refreshed at higher or lower prices, so the profit potential disappears very quickly. So while that's an option, NPC trading, it's not the one where you're going to make big bucks. The real big bucks is buying from other players and selling to other players. And again, you can take a look at the expiration date on the orders. When you're viewing these prices, I also want to make sure that you click on the price column so that in the seller section you have the lowest price at the top, and in the buyers you have the highest price at the top. If you don't have these sorted, it can be very confusing. You end up buying from the wrong one. Sometimes you might want to look at distance and clicking on the jump section to see where you can buy something locally. That can be useful, but again, that can lead to bad trades. So, what else can you read here? You have the jumps, the number of jumps to the place where the order is placed. Orders are always placed in stations, and you will, that will govern how far the order will be available to you. For example, this one is 10 jumps away. You may not want to travel 10 jumps, so that's why that's displayed. The quantity is how much is available, the price is what's being offered. This is your location column. You can right click on it and say set destination, and then there's an expiration date here. Again, expiration date is useful for you because it will tell you, because your orders when you place them will be limited. Let's come out and look at something else. Let's look at Tritanium. Tritanium is one of the most traded items in the game, and here, yes, you can see the prices are much closer. Now there's a much more range as well. If you want to buy Tritanium in Jita in quantities, you actually pay a slight premium over other stations. But the advantage is that you're getting it in one station. You're not having to travel all over the place. It is an eternal truth in trading that people pay for convenience, and good traders exploit this need for convenience. They either move things closer to where they need to be, they collect them, or they pay a lower price, and in exchange for the inconvenience, they go out and get the stuff themselves and bring it to Jita. That's another option. There's also people that, there's a convenience factor in basically getting your money now as opposed to getting it in, whenever somebody completes the order. So if you have lots of money and patience, you can exploit that to make money off of the people that need to have the sale done now. So here we are going to set up a trade, right? And we're going to just set up a very simple thing. I've got Sister's scanner probe, so I'm going to sell this item, and you see the window comes up, and this is going to create an immediate order. Now, I do not click sell right away. I am prepared to wait for this sale to happen. So if I go to advanced, it gives me many more options. I click on the view details so I can see the information. Now, you can see that the best buy price is 498, but this one is 4% higher. This is a sell order. So if I set my price just next to what the sell order is, 519,499.99, I set the quantity, I set the duration. It's a good idea to set the duration to 3 months. That way you won't have to keep refreshing things. If you set it to a day, it will expire after a day and you will lose your money. Setting up this order is going to cost me a bit of money. I have to pay a broker's fee, and when the item sells, I pay a sales tax. Now, if the order expires, then I lose my broker's fee. I only pay sales tax when the item is bought by someone else. These numbers are probably, these fractional percentages, 0.24 and 0.75, those are probably lower than you will see right away. I have trained a lot of skills, and I'll go into that later, so that I can reduce these costs. If you're going to be trading lots, it's a very good idea to train skills to reduce these costs. But we'll click on remember settings so it remembers that I'm selling them for 3 months. And I click sell. And so if we now refresh this, you will see a new sell order here, and that's now the cheapest sell order in the market. So when people now go into Jita and they click on the buy button for Sister's scanner probes, they'll get my order. Of course, this person here is probably going to update their order to make it cheaper, and that's going to be a whole part of trading, that you have to keep on modifying your orders, and you do this by right-clicking. Well, you can't right-click on here. You have to go to your list of orders, and then you can find your order in question. And of course, I'm giving away all sorts of important information here. There you go, Sister's core scanner probe. Yes, I've got another one sitting. I have not been trading in this account for a while. I can go in and I can modify the order. Since I have 2 orders, let me do that. Let me bring this one down to be the same price. 499.99. There. So you're going to have to maintain your orders. Now, the way to make money at this in Jita is to put up orders for these things, right? So that what you can do is you can buy the items from random people and then immediately resell them at a profit. And again, the people sell them right away because they want the money right away, and you put them up because you're prepared to wait. So, for example, I've got an offer up for a Republic Fleet large shield extender. What else have I got? Yeah, I have not modified these in a while. Modify this order. No, let's not do this. Let's find something that we would like to buy. Oh yes, a great example for things to start off with is faction ammunition. So if I look for ammunition, faction and ammunition, here we go. Kaldari Navy, Scourge, auto-targeting. No, we don't want those. We want Scourge. They're all auto-targeting. Scourge light missile, rocket. Here we go. Scourge heavy missile. So there's the offer. The lowest buy order, the highest buy order is 1042.26, and the lowest sell order is 1189. So you can buy them at 1042 and then resell them at about 100 ISK per unit profit. So let me set up an order for these. I'm going to set up. And it's running really slowly because we're in Jita and it's really lagged, but this is the best way to do it. So we're going to set up an order. We're prepared to pay 1042.27, and that makes us the best order. We're prepared to buy 10,000. We're going to wait. We're prepared to wait 3 months for this, and we can accept them at a certain range. So we can say we're prepared to buy them inside the solar system, inside the region, 1 jump, 2 jump, etc., etc. I like to set solar system because I have a bunch of people that can bring my stuff into the central station. So that's not a problem for me, but not everyone does that. Some people are far too lazy and they just will take orders from that specific station, and that makes sense. So I'm prepared, again, to go for a little inconvenience in exchange for making sure my orders get filled more often. So there we go, and it tells me the order is going to cost me 2,500 ISK to set up. Am I prepared to say that? Yes, I am, and I know what's going to happen. So over time, those will get filled, and then I'll be able to take the items from my hangar and resell them. And that's basically how the whole system works. It really is as simple as that, buying and selling. Now, you can go, another strategy is if you, for example, want to fly around, you can set up an order that spans the entire region, right? And here we go, we'll go to Tritanium. Tritanium's a great example. Search. And you can see all these buy orders are in Jita, right? And you can see some other people are buying them at like Vassala and Josimeto and all these other systems. And then as we go further down, there's people prepared to take orders 3 jumps away from this station. So they are going to get like a net. They're going to get everything within a few jumps, collect that into a big pile, and then take it to Jita perhaps to resell. And by doing this, they're paying 578. They're going to be able to sell at about 6.15. So they're going to make quite a big profit, but they're going to have to do this flying around and collecting things. As you go further down, we see 5 jumps, 10 jumps, and then there's somebody here saying they're going to buy everything in the region that is offered for sale at less than 5.66. So all these other orders will probably never get filled because this one will trump them all. It is the cheapest order, it is the most expensive order rather, the most valuable offer in the range. So be aware of these things, that you can buy things from a wider range by adjusting your the range basically, but be prepared that you're going to have to buy them. Now there's another thing to see here with Tritanium. This offer has a minimum volume set up, and the minimum volume is 200,000. This order will never get touched unless somebody is offering more than 200,000 units in one stack. And actually it won't get touched at all because there are other people offering better value. So minimum volume is useful if you're setting region-wide orders, where you don't want to go to every single station just because a person dropped 1 unit of Tritanium. You can say, I will buy everything within 5 jumps as long as you can deliver more than 10,000 units of it. And that helps to a certain extent, so that's a strategy that you can use. Now, picking out what to trade is, half of the deal. One interesting thing to look at is the price history. You can view how things have changed over time, and this is not the most useful because there's these spurious offers on the end. Let me take a look at one that tells a story. Now, technetium, that is a storied mineral. This comes from moons, and it is essential to building Tech 2 gear. In fact, it is so essential it is practically it is the blocker mineral, so it's the keystone element required in many builds. And as such, it was possible for a group of alliances to come together and essentially make sure that they controlled almost all the technetium moons in the game, and therefore they were the only suppliers of the mineral. So early in the year, it was, floating around 100k. People knew that they had control, but as the time went on, it became more and more valuable. And then around March, what happened was somebody said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we got together and fixed the price? And thus OTEC was born, the Organization of Technetium Exporting Corporations. And using that, they were able to manipulate the price to almost twice its value earlier in the year. At that point, I actually made a commercial, the OTEC commercial, where we were demonstrating that if you were mining in a Hulk, we would blow you up. Because while we offered a bounty of 10 million ISK to anyone blowing up a Hulk, we would then in turn make about 50 to 100 million ISK on selling the technetium to build a new Hulk. So it was a very profitable thing. At that point, CCP realized that this was perhaps causing some trouble, and they started, at this point, sometime in the middle of July, they basically said, so yeah, we're going to change the way this works and we're going to nerf the whole system. They created something, or they reintroduced something called alchemy, which allowed you to transmorph or whatever other elements into technetium and therefore create alternate supplies to reduce the cost. And so you can see the price has dropped but down to like 80k. It's still by far the most valuable moon mineral, but it's no longer such a terrible thing, I guess. Sky is here, and you might have heard her kissing me. She has decided to come down and interfere with me. Interfere with this video. So anyway, yes, technetium was a great example of the market history at work. You can also see, so what you can see here is this green line is the average price, or the moving average over 20 days. The red line is the 5-day moving average. You can see that it oscillates a little more. The yellow dots are the median day price. The brown shows you the highest and lowest sell prices on those specific days. So if there's a wide range, there's a lot of volatility. And down the bottom, you can actually see the actual scale, the number of units being sold. The units being sold are on the right-hand axis, whereas the price is on the left-hand axis. So technetium was one of these things that pretty much only ever gets sold in Jita, and because it came from a limited source, it wasn't necessarily the best item for manipulation or for trading. Now, a good item for trading is something which people get, they acquire lots of, and they need to sell. Sky, can you stop breathing right in the microphone? Sky, where was I? Oh yeah, so people, what they do is they get items which are somewhat random, and they need to sell them. So a great example of this is modules such as 425mm, right, and we'll find ship equipment, 425mm prototype Gauss guns. Now these, nobody can manufacture them, so there's no way to control the supply of them artificially. These only drop from NPCs, and mission runners collect them and then they sell them. And you see that the buyers here are buying them at 5.3 million, and the sellers are selling them at 5.776. So there's a significant profit to be made there if you just keep buying them and then reselling them at the same price. NPC items are great for that. You can also buy and sell faction items similarly, like the domination railguns and all that. You want something that has demand, and you want something that has supply, so that you're not going to be stuck in a corner without anything, I guess, without any supply or demand. If you order something that you find items, for example, that have very huge margins, but there's not a huge demand for them, so it's not that interesting. And I'm trying to think, Halo implants. Oh no, actually, yeah, Jackal implants, right? And I mean, yes, so Jackal Omegas, for example. Now, Jackals are special implants that increase your ECM strength. They increase your ability to resist ECM attacks. So these are they're sold by the factional warfare stores. The thing is, nobody actually cares for this function. And so they were introduced and nobody uses them. So although there's a 50% difference between the buy price and the sell price, you can go into the price history and you can see that the numbers being bought and sold are actually minuscule. So you're very unlikely to make nearly the profit on it. The other end of the scale is Plex. Plex, everyone is buying and selling those all the time. But the thing is, in this case, the margins are very, very small. You can see that we're selling like 2 to 4,000 per day, right? And if you look at the actual values here, you can see there's roughly a 10 million ISK difference between the buy price and the sell price. The problem is that's about 2%, and at that point you're going to be any profits are going to be eaten up by the broker costs and the tax. So buying Plex and reselling them is a very competitive business, and the margins are so slim it's probably not worth your time doing it. Other examples are spacecraft. Now, the Caracal is a popular cruiser, and it's used a lot in missions. So what happens is people buy these, or they build them, they buy them, and then once they decide to upgrade, say, to a Drake, then they sell them. So they're prepared to just sell them right away, and then you can then buy them and resell them. There's like a 5% difference there. That's 5% is a pretty good margin for Jita. You can go to other trade hubs and the margins may be bigger, but again, the volumes will be lower. Now, Blackbirds, on the other hand, again, if we look at you got to look at the price history to actually see that there is a lot of volume. Yeah, again, 2 to 4,000 per day. Now, Blackbirds, on the other hand, the Blackbird is a great ship, right? It is like, if you're a newbie flying in PvP, the Blackbird is the ship to fly. Now, again, the margins are roughly the same, but if you look at the price history, the number bought and sold is very small. And the other thing is that people don't tend to buy Blackbirds and then sell them back later, because they're a PvP ship only, and Blackbirds get killed very quickly because nobody likes getting jammed. And that's why, Blackbirds, probably not the best thing for you to buy or sell. Blueprints, don't bother buying and selling blueprints, because blueprints come from NPCs and they're actually only valuable when they've been researched. An exception to this is obviously the ore ship blueprints, since the only place to get those is in deep nullsec. So people make a lot of money by flying into nullsec, buying the blueprints and bringing them back to... So anyway, yes, for trade skills, you can find the trade skills and obviously under the trade tab. A lot of these are important. The accounting skill, hugely important because that reduces your tax. Broker relations similarly reduces your brokering costs, but on top of that you also want to improve your standing. So you actually probably want to run some missions for the people that run the station in question. The Caldari Navy run Jita 4-4, so you need good standing with the Caldari state and the Caldari Navy, and that will reduce your taxes. Contracting, yeah, I'm not dealing with contracting at all here. That's another way of buying and selling things, but again, beware scams, etc., etc. There's a few things that you can only sell on contracts, such as ships that are already fitted with rigs. That's the obvious one. Research blueprints are another. So day trading is a skill which lets you adjust your orders when you're not in the station. That is useful because it means you don't need to fly to the station in question. Margin trading. Now, the way margin trading works is that when you place an order, you have to put up all the money to buy an order. When you place a buy order, if you place a buy order for 1 billion ISK worth of merchandise, you have to have 1 billion ISK on hand, and it gets taken from your account and put in escrow. Now, if you have the margin trading skill, you can reduce the amount of money that's taken from your account and put into escrow. And the idea being that if you have this skill, you can have many more orders, buying more materials you can actually afford. The idea being that you're going to immediately flip them into sell orders. So this is a useful skill to have, but it's also used a lot in scams, and that's something to be aware of. That people, when you see something for sale or for a buy order with a minimum quantity of greater than 0, you want to ask why the minimum quantity is greater than 0, because it's possible to set up a buy order for large numbers of something, and then essentially take all the money away from that account, and then when somebody tries to sell to that order, evaporates and the order doesn't go through. So people use this to make people buy worthless crap, basically, by making them think it's valuable. Procurement lets you place remote buy orders in the market. Retail, there's a whole bunch of skills that basically let you increase the number of orders you can simultaneously place. Trade is the basic skill that adds 4 new orders per level. Retail lets you add 8 orders per level. There's wholesale adds 16 per level. Tycoon is 32 per level. And is there another one? Well, basically at the end of this, you can place something like 300 and something orders. 305 orders is the maximum you can play. I've obviously traded that all up. Visibility basically increases the range of your remote buy orders. So that lets you place a remote buy order with a range. It's of questionable use. I haven't trained it, but it's there. It depends what you're doing, obviously. If you're station trading, you don't need a lot of the remote management skills, but it's nice to have. I mean, it's kind of frustrating to be sitting, having multiple orders in one system and be in the wrong station and have to keep adjusting things. Anyway, yeah, I think I've covered everything you might need to know here, but, perhaps not. Perhaps you've found this to be a load of rubbish. As I said, I've managed to make myself a pretty penny here. What have I got? I've only got... Well, I haven't been trading recently, but I've got 87 billion ISK in the bank and 11 billion in buy orders and 2 billion in sell orders, and I've got tons of stuff just sitting in my hangar. I've kind of 37 billion ISK worth of stuff sitting in my hangar, and this is mostly profit made from trading. Really, that's where it comes from, and it's kind of good to get into. It's the only way you can really make your money and make enough money to buy Plex inside a 30-day, inside a 21-day trial. I have seen people do that, but once you've got it figured out, you can make lots of cash. Anyway, I'm Scott Manley. Fly safe.